Well, the most challenging tide to land your boat at New Haven Deep Sea Anglers is on an ebbing tide, especially on an ebbing spring, which is what it is now. So we're going to do a short video showing you how to land your boat when the tide is ripping past the slipway. As you see, we're just coming into the harbour now. Right, you can see that the water is ripping under the bridge here now, and we're not even at the peak flow yet, but you can see there's quite a rip coming through here. One of the things you must make sure you've got a fuel tank, or you've got plenty of fuel when you come through here. What you don't want is the engine faltering in this rip. Make sure you've got your aerials down or your fishing rods. So the fishing rod's down?
Yep.
Yeah, cool. I mean, this isn't the peak of it. When it's really rushing out of here, you get a standing wave. Now you need to, when the tide's going out, you need to bring your boat into shore upriver of the slipway. You don't want to be downside of it. And when the tide's flooding, you want to be downriver from the slipway, because you want that rip, that tide, to actually swing you back onto your trailer. You won't be able to manoeuvre your boat upriver against an ebbing tide. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to go in up tide of the river. You'll see Waddy pop out of his hatch in a minute, and we'll steer it into the shore, and he'll stop it crashing into the rocks, hopefully. The tide's quite high, so it means that we're not going into the muddy bits too much. So it won't be the hardest of landings, but you'll get the idea from this on how you do it and how we use a stern rope. So we're drawing up adjacent with the slipway, and then we want to turn back in now, remembering the tide is wanting to push you back down the river. So as you steer in, you kind of got to steer very slightly upriver, because otherwise you'll just be drifted back down. Stand by with a bit of reverse. Oh, and we're there. Okay, we'll moor the boat up here for the time being, get everything sorted out. Okay, so obviously you need to get your engine up, because you don't want to be that dragging into the bottom as you're manoeuvring your boat. So the engine is up out of the way. Okay, and then we can leave the boat here while we go and get the trailer sorted out. Now, when the tide is going out, you have got to be fairly prompt, because what you don't want, and what will happen very quickly if you get delayed, is your boat will end up high and dry on the shore here, and that is embarrassing when that happens, because there's nothing you can do about it. You just have to wait till the tide comes back in again so you can get it off. So you need to be fairly swift about doing this. So we won't hang around. We'll go and get the trailer sorted out, and then we'll carry on with the video. Always remember, you've got to put your jockey wheel up. Let's get the winch rope out. Always a good idea to get your winch rope out ready. Okie dokie. You can see the tide going across the back of the boat there. Need to get your trailer into whatever depth works for you. With me, I need it very deep. That'll do. Okie dokie. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to attach a rope to the stern of the boat upriver. So as we drift the boat onto the trailer, Woody will be standing upriver holding that rope taut to try and keep the boat so it's at 90 degrees to the shore all the way down. Now he won't be able to see that, so I will be giving him instruction either to pull or to slacken off.
Please do. Yeah. Yeah.
Right, I don't know if you can see this, but you need to get your boat, the bow of the boat, anchored onto the trailer centrally. Okay, it's not too important at this stage if the stern of the boat is up or down tide, as long as you've got the bow of your boat centered on a central roller in my case, okay, because that is going to be your anchor point. Everything else is going to follow that onto the boat. So if the stern is a little bit downriver, which it is at the moment, I'll just say to Woody, upriver, that's it, that's enough, keep it straight. Now, what I've got to do is get the winch on and start to winch it on, but only just start it, so it's tight. It's tight on that spot. Once it's tight on that spot, we can swing it left or right and get it straight on the trailer using the stern rope. As you can imagine, if we'd allowed this to go downriver, and go downriver of the trailer, we would have had to really worked at getting it back above the trailer again. Probably means that you have to get back in and steam it back upriver again. So we've got the winch on, the winch is there in place, okay, and we're going to winch this up. So put the ratchet on, make sure the ratchet's on. So the bow of the boat is on that main central roller. I've got the winch attached to the winching eye, okay, and we're going to winch it up onto the trailer. Woody is keeping it straight using the stern rope. Okay, so if I thought it was a little bit downriver, I'll tell him to pull it up a little bit more or to let it down, but he can't really see how straight this is on the trailer. Okay, only I can. So we're winching it on. Right, just pull it upriver a little bit, Woody, just a tad. That's it, lovely, that'll do. And there we go. Now, what will happen is that as the trailer comes out of the water, the stern of the boat will drop a little bit. So what I find I have to do is that once I get to that point, once it's out of the water by a couple of feet, I get the winchman to stop. I winch it on a couple more, a foot maybe. That's all it needs to be. Now this is how I described how I do my bow rope. So I've got a loop tied in my bow rope at exactly the right spot, so that I can loop it over one end of the pulley handle, and then all I have to do is a couple of half hitches on here, and that is now pulling from the centre of the handle. So if something were to happen, the boat was to drop back on the trailer at all, it's pulling at the centre of this. It's not going to cause the winch buggy to twist. Okay, and then all my loose bits, obviously I don't want to get them trapped under a wheel or anything like that. I just loop up and hang over the handle like that. Get the loose bits out of the way. Okay, so we're on, and it's pretty straight. So we didn't go up and start winching. I'll keep an eye on this if needs be. If it looks like it's going to drop back on the tide, I can give it a little tug. But generally speaking, it's now centered on the trailer, and it's going to stay centered on the trailer. Now, once you master this, honestly, you can land in the worst conditions, because the worst conditions here are a ripping tide. The tide isn't quite ripping yet. It is going out, but it can be a lot stronger than this. And I've watched people really struggle with this. But, you know, master this and you've cracked it. Okay, so the signal for upriver is hand out to the right, up the river, and away he goes. Right, let's stop him a second to see how the stern of the boat has dropped back a little bit. So we're just going to winch it on there. So it's balanced properly on the trailer. And there we go. Happy days. Bob is your mother's brother. Obviously you don't want to get this wrapped up around the wheels or anything like that. Okay. And then we'll tidy this rope away down the back of the boat where it's needed. It's always there, so I've got a stone rope ready to go. You don't want to be messing around trying to get one in place. Never want to be behind the boat when it's winching up, because if it did fail, it would take you with it. Right, now we need to keep this taut as we come over the top. So the wheels, when they come over the top, will want to roll down that little slope. We don't want to have slack line on it. So keeping it fairly taut, that's it. And then don't allow yourself to get trapped. Alright, stop. So that is how you use a stern rope to get your boat straight on the trailer at New Haven Deep Sea Anglers. And I guess if you're not a member of the club and you launch boats in other places, if you're launching on a river anywhere and you've got the tide running across the slipway, that's how you're going to do it. So thanks very much for watching, and we'll see you at the next one, whichever that might be. Leave a comment. What do you want to learn next?